And we're live. Welcome to Earful of Dirt. We come to you every Monday night to bring you the low down, the high down, the hoe down, pretty much every down that they have in Major League Rugby. System of a down. Yeah, there's another one.
We have systems of down.
So if you're here to talk about the MLR Izzle, we are here. I'm Aaron Castro. You can find me at the Strogro. Got Liam Poach at Poacher Rugby and Craig Gradelli at American RFC, all on Twitter. They both have Instagrams. If you like puppies or babies, you could check those out.
My puppy has its own Instagram, actually.
Does it really?
Yep, at Lucy McNugget. If you guys want to follow, a very cute little bulldog.
Well, if you'd like to follow me, I can't even remember what my Instagram name is. I don't go on it that often anymore. I also have a cute little bulldog. I think it's. Yeah, what the hell am I?
Bulldog.
What are you doing with your life, Aaron? Where's your bulldog?
Yeah,
dude, trying to get
bulldog owners are like a cult. You don't understand.
Like, I'm trying a lot.
There we go. Poacher_15. There I am on Instagram. Yeah, you can tell that platform is my specialty. Yeah. Anyway, rugby.
Aaron, are you ashamed of being a Western-oriented person with how the East is beating up on the West every day?
I'm a neutral, don't you know? It's like how do people not understand? Oh, no, maybe give me.
Yeah, right, here's the thing, Aaron. You're neutral the same way I pick potato every week for pre-jack games. Like,
this is important.
And we lost Aaron. He's moving to the East as we speak.
Yeah, right. He's packing up. I'm gonna have a knock on my door at any point. Yeah, or maybe you will.
Maybe you will. I don't know. New England is the reigning Cold War Cup holder, so I think, in all fairness, he's got to head up to New England.
Yeah, I mean, Boston's just a better place to live when compared to New York. Let's face it. Yeah, hey, man, it's smaller, but has way better bar scene, way better women. Listen, our public transit might kill you. It might catch on fire every now and again, but it's good. And he's bringing in Rucky.
Rucky is here on the show tonight.
Coolest, also potentially most horrifying mascot of all time.
So he's here. He did arrive before game time, so he did watch his puddle pup brethren get demolished. He went like this. Sad day. But thank you, Rucky the Seawolf, for sending a friend.
Yeah, very cool, Rucky. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rucky.
He joined Wally the Wallaby. And Rookie the Eagle, so I guess we have. I'm
gonna start sending you rubber chickens.
Hey, so I on Instagram went to the post about Scratch, the eating fruit snacks, by the way. The saber cat. So I was like, I asked I was talking to a Sabercats fan on Saturday night on game night. I was like, do they sell minis? And they were like, yeah, I'll get you one. Want me to get you one? And I sent her a photo of a Rucky, and the next day it's like, yeah, I thought you meant mini rugby ball. It's like, it's like, shout out to Robin Davis for getting me a rugby ball. I don't know what I'm going to do with one of those,
But if any of the Houston Sabercat brass is watching right now or listening, definitely up your
mini
game.
Scratches on the way.
Yeah, up your game in terms of the mascot merchandise.
It's all about, and there's the Raptors have a mascot. Where's when I was there in the summer for the Eagles test, they don't sell mini Rudy the Raptors, I think they're called.
It basically just is the eagle with one of those eye masks on.
I would say it's pretty well done. It's kind of frightening.
So I'm actually authorized to reveal that the Free Jacks mascot will in fact be Jack Jack from The Incredibles. We're just gonna have a baby dressed as Jack Jack running around, just like like a toddler, 2 or 3 years old, running around causing havoc, much like the Jack Jack does, and as toddlers tend to do in real life.
Fake Samoas, Keebler brand. If you guys want to sponsor the show.
If anybody wants to sponsor us, I cannot stress this enough.
Oh.
If you're just a guy and you want us to mention your name, send us money.
So did you guys watch rugby that wasn't MLR this weekend?
I did. I watched probably 3/4 of the England-Ireland test.
I watched a little bit of the England-Ireland game, but unfortunately the stream on my phone was just absolute crap, and I was at work, so I couldn't really afford to be looking down at my phone all that much because I'm a good employee.
Yeah, I've been completely defeated by technology this weekend. I've seen everything I tried to watch that was not ESPN Plus was impossible.
FTF worked fine for me. I know there were some complaints across the board, but
it took me a long time to get the Rugby United New York Roosters versus the Rattlesnakes.
Snacks.
And on my phone on ESPN Plus for whatever reason, wherever I was at Phoenix Municipal Field while I was watching baseball, just wasn't loading, even though I had 5 bars. Come on. But I did see some cool stuff, like that Xander Van Schalkwyk try in the corner from Sean Coughlin.
Did you see the O'Keefe try from Dylan Fawcett chip kick?
That was also cool. Dylan Fawcett out there with skills, doing things that us, semi-amateur, I would say semi-amateur, not semi-professional, but semi-amateur, as in we don't do, I don't play rugby regularly right now anymore. But I can barely catch the ball. Okay. It's like, I can do a lot of quick carries around the ruck, do some good ruck rivals, tackle. I feel like if you try to pass that ball, what was a good pass this weekend? Savanaka Tota Vasau against
I want Ryberg to run me over. I reckon it will be painfully satisfying. MLR from Sydney, gents.
Asemo. I hope I said that right. I figure that would be Ryberg running anyone over, which happens in MLR often, would feel like a semi-truck rolling over you. That's what I sort of feel like when I see him churn his legs. Scott, I have seen Paddy Ryan chip kick. It was strange because it didn't look the same as Dylan's. I'll be honest. I know that he can do it because I've seen it happen multiple times, but it just doesn't seem normal. Whereas when Fawcett does it, it's like, why do you have that skill? How are you able to do that? But yeah,
some people are just born with the rugby ball in their hands, man, or off their foot, I guess you should say.
They got one of those binkies instead of a handle to pull on. It's a rugby ball on the other side.
Well, it's long enough that it goes down to the foot. They just dribble in there in the crib or in the Moses basket, whatever you call it.
Yeah, so it was a pretty good weekend in Major League Rugby. We're seeing still that things are different. We're seeing players get bedded in at a different position. We didn't really get to see that much of the beast this week. I watched 2 Prem games. I watched all 3 Six Nations games and all 6 MLR games. Which, it's a lot of rugby. I have as Wayne Barnes' wife, Polly, said, I'm a rugby widow. So I'm like a baseball widower because it's baseball. Well, it's college baseball season, and we have season tickets. And she goes to watch ASU, and she's a rugby widow. I take in a lot of rugby, and she goes to the baseball games. It tends to work out. She actually likes rugby. We go to rugby events and stuff. I know this is a relationship podcast, but I'm just pointing that out. Yeah, it was an interesting weekend overall. If you guys don't mind, you want to get into this because it gets fun.
I mean, I guess we can talk about MLR now. You know, I really wanted to talk more about you and your girlfriend's relationship, subtleties. But anyway, but I heard the Nola Gold took on Colorado.
I'm a widow this, widower that.
I mean, Craig, your wife is also in sort of that realm. She likes going to these events that we go to, but doesn't go to all of them.
Yeah. She's over here in the background looking at me.
Jackie.
Hi Jackie.
The principal.
So,
all right. So Nola Gold versus Colorado. What did you guys think?
I mean, it started about right. The tempo from New Orleans, they got up 14-0 by Julian Dominguez-Widmer. You had Carl Meyer from fullback acting as their main kicker with, who are they missing? I mean, JP Eloff. I think JP Eloff's actually fit and he's going to be ready this week. So, if he's available for selection. So that should change some things. Nick Feeks is also available this week for selection. So people are getting healthy and things are getting signed and, guys are able to play. But it was
another player. There is another player available for USA selection now. I'll talk about later in the show. I'm excited about this one.
I saw what I wanted to see out of New Orleans very early, and then Colorado kind of woke up in a lot of ways that we hadn't really seen from them this year, and they weren't able to do enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was Colorado's best game of the year, even though they lost, but they did put up a lot of fight when it looked like Nola might run away with it, and it's been a tough year for the West and for Colorado and Seattle, and I think it's good that there's parity and that teams could go from being the best in the league to towards the bottom of the table within a couple of years time frame. But I also don't want to see it. I don't want another 0-15 or 0-16 season.
I
don't see that coming from Colorado.
Well, there's only two teams. There's only two teams that could go 0-16 right now,
and they were the season championship.
Yep, not Austin. That's very, very true.
Not Austin.
They're not. Austin's not in last place.
Dude, do they have more points right now? Not points scored, but more table points right now than they did all last season.
Oh,
there's 7 table points.
I did notice this the other day, though, that MLR doesn't have any past schedules on the website, which I really
I go to Wikipedia.
They hide their tracks well.
Go to Wikipedia. Yeah. Sorry, it's a great resource. It's very
definitely. True. But honestly, like you guys said, I thought it was a good performance by NOLA. They didn't exactly run over Colorado, but they definitely. I thought they controlled the pace, I guess you could say, when it counted. Because when you look at the numbers on offense, Colorado actually splits it with NOLA in terms of total possession advantage, with 50% going either way. Meanwhile, the territory rating was at a full 10% higher for NOLA compared to, a whole 10% higher for Colorado compared to just 45% from NOLA. So Colorado was actually operating their offense. I don't want to say efficiently because they weren't putting up as many points, but they were operating it semi-effectively between the 22s. But unfortunately, even with the territory rating, and especially with the GLO rating of 78%, it's just too bad they weren't taking advantage of those opportunities of that, like those spurts of effectiveness that they were having on offense. Like when you keep going down the list, the stacks seem to they stack up pretty evenly in a bunch of different metrics too, including 10 penalties apiece, similar in total meters, similar in average meters per pass. The difference, though, obviously finishing out drives, like I said, capitalizing on scoring opportunities. A lot of NOLA's points they came following infringers by the Raptors by the Raptors in their own territory, which despite the lineout not being the best facet of this attack, was just enough for guys like Eric Howers on the inside, to Minka Zamire on the outside to find some space and actually score. That's where Colorado had a lot of trouble on defense, was just kind of containing NOLA once they got the motor going into the back row, and kind of getting it to the faster guys out there on the offense.
You look at this one, and if I just threw the stats up against the wall, it's very similar and mostly in favor of Colorado. Colorado had, one more penalty than NOLA, and they had a lineout steal. In fact, their set piece was just a smidge better, even though honestly it looked NOLA's looked better, but statistically speaking, they were very much the same. And in fact, you saw a lot of good things from them, especially with Nick Boyer, who's starting to round back into that form that got him selected for the Eagles. And they're trying to play just as fast as they played last year. And when they played fast last year, it didn't really help them. And, you just look at the overall turnover rate. I mean, they had 13 turnovers conceded, and I don't think the amount of turnovers conceded was based on the tempo that NOLA wanted to run. But overall, I mean, just like another team this weekend, Colorado improved again. So they're probably you could probably pick out 2 to 3 wins easy on this schedule. There probably is. If things go the way they're going, they may win 6 games. It's a bit here and there because they're 0-3 with Seattle, but they are starting to come together. NOLA, a good game back for Holden Younger. I thought he marshaled that offense pretty well. This game would have been a tad different if he didn't commit a professional foul and get a yellow card.
Yeah. And that was a stupid professional foul too. If you guys didn't see it, he was lying on the deck and Colorado tried to quick tap and he just blatantly reached up and smacked the ball out of their hands. So, I mean, stupid penalty. I like his general chippy attitude, and I think that's a good attitude to have in a scrum half, but certain stuff like that is dumb. You should cut that out.
Outside of that, that was the only, overall, if you look at the nines in this league, most of them are pretty chippy. If you guys remember the Toad, Connor Murphy.
I remember the Toad. I spent a whole year working alongside him.
But overall, I thought it was a good game for him in general, coming back from a head knock because he suffered a concussion in their first game and was pulled pretty early. And so he went through the concussion protocol and returned to play and got the start this week. So like I said, New Orleans gets back 2 players this week. Nick Feast is available, and so is JP Eloff. So
2 decent players.
Yeah, 2 former player of the weeks right there. One from season 1 and one from season 2. So,
all right. Well,
game 2, the Orange People.
The draws are back.
The Orange People versus the come out to players. I don't know. Shout out
the Jabronis.
Shout out to the Gilgronis organization. They're really starting to step this stuff up. If you haven't checked out Instagram, go to the Gilgronis Instagram account. If you don't want to put the boots on and try and get a contract right now so that you can get a Gilgronis jacket, you're wrong. Those look pretty fly, I have to say.
So have we found out what's in a Gilgroni yet? Because I heard it's like a gin drink or something along those lines.
Well, the Negroni has gin, right? But they said Texas. So if we're going to take the Texas theme, I'm putting extra anejo tequila in that sucker.
I think it's just going to be
also just
a giant Negroni. That's what I do in Texas.
A Jack in the Box burger, kind of like, like it's a Bloody Mary or something on a stick. Stick it right in there. That's the most Texas thing I can think of.
Potentially a fried Negroni somehow, because they're pretty good at frying things. I don't know if you've ever been to the Texas State Fair,
might work in there.
Fried ice cream, fried butter. I don't know how they do it, but they're pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know what's in a Gilgroni, but I know that things are looking good. Also, man, they've torn up the old Austin Elite headquarters, and they've turned it. They're laying down new flooring and everything. They've brought in new equipment. It's, a couple $100,000 worth of stuff, maybe even $1 million. It's a lot of stuff. I saw like 8 or 9 watt bikes, and then tons of weights. So they're reshaping the old headquarters into a performance center, and eventually they're probably going to put a performance center somewhere near Coda on some land that can be developed. And then you'll have, a north and a south, one for youth, or both for youth, really, and, one for the team. So
the big question is, though, does refurbishing the office count against the salary cap? Because apparently adding all these players doesn't appear to.
Well, I mean, they
haven't showed up yet.
If you actually look at who they have, I think they had some money. I mean, if you put one of these guys on a max contract, which is $45,000, it's not.
Oh, so sorry to interrupt. Shots fired, Mr. Corey Munson, saying here on Facebook, Texas Kalashis are not real Kalashis.
Okay, where did you
fight me,
Corey? Where did you get a Kalachi? Where in Texas did you get this Kalachi? Because we will have fighting words. Because there are 2 places on the highway coming south from Dallas through Waco to Austin that you get real Czech Kalachis.
Listen, man, here's the thing. You have never been in heaven until you've been hung over at a Shipley's and just bitten into a cheap, crappy Kalashi, because no matter how cheap and crappy it is, it's delicious in that moment.
We're talk about Kalashis. You got to go to
Kalashi King.
Czech Stop in West Texas. West Texas is a city, not the region of Western Texas. You got to go to Czech Stop.
So just because Craig looks a little confused, and some of our listeners and viewers might be a little bit confused, a kolache is basically like a dinner roll, or slightly larger than a dinner roll, stuffed with deliciousness. It can be stuffed with chicken parm, chicken broccoli alfredo, sausage and cheese.
Else. That is actually not a kolache. That is called something else.
Here we go.
It's a kolache in Houston, baby.
Kolaches are a fruit pastry. Now, those are also Czech. Yes, those are also Czech stuff, but I don't know which one they are. But
I think you're out of your element, man.
I am in my element. I go to Texas a couple times a year. I know the spot. There's 2 places. There's Slovacek's Deli, which is across the street from Czech Stop, and these are these are good. You'll love them. How does Craig not know where West Texas is on his trips to Austin?
I don't know West Texas. I just never heard of a kolache.
You're stationed at Fort Hood and don't know what a kolache is.
Nope.
Shame.
Dude,
But back to the game.
Yeah.
The Gilgronis played a really good game, especially with what they were doing. They gave you hope. Tori Alba was pretty good. Even I know that Zinzan Olympic has gotten some stick because he's mostly a fullback, but I think he's acquitted himself pretty well over the season at the position of 10.
I don't get why people are down on him. I think he's doing everything for that team. I think he's looked very good.
Yeah, but the biggest thing for them, man, turnovers and penalties. They had a ton of turnovers. They had way more penalties and more penalties. What was it 8 more penalties than Utah? But guess what, man? They had 100% scrum rate.
Yeah. Well,
set piece is king in Major League Rugby, and we've been seeing that especially this year.
Their lineout was awful, though. Their lineout was pretty bad. They were in a position to where they could have capitalized in the second half, but they got in their own head a little bit, and they just let the Warriors come back. But guess what? It wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I actually personally didn't even catch this game. I chose instead to watch the SaberCat game. But fun fact, thanks to Facebook Memories, I actually found out that Utah a year ago yesterday played to another draw last season with the then Glendale Raptors at 26-all. So I guess there's something to do with the moon and the position of the planets or the stars or just the ghost of mediocrity past coming through. But yeah. That's a fun fact there. Anyway, just some basic numbers for this game to give you guys. Austin actually, as Aaron implied, Austin actually outgained Utah by almost 200 meters, 199 to be exact. On the way to that, they managed a pretty respectable MPP of about that's meters per pass of 5.1, while Utah came in with a pretty paltry 4.8. And like they were saying around the internet and with Aaron and Craig, Austin, they seem to kind of give away a lot of opportunities in this game. And the numbers actually back that up. 16 penalties for Austin compared to just 9 from Utah. Aaron mentioned that again. While the Warriors had 2 steals in the lineout compared to just 1 for Austin out of the breakdown. So despite the many revamps of Austin's roster, even since week 1, there's going to need to be some drastic uptick in terms of how this offense moves and actually capitalizes on opportunities. Yeah. And how they don't afford the other team opportunities as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that's also just nature of the beast when you do have so many changes so quickly right before the season starts. This is going to take a little time to integrate, and they still haven't gotten Adam Ashley Cooper or Kurt Marath, though. Like I said, I think Elon is doing great at fly half, but I'm sure having both would be pretty good.
So I don't know about AAC coming in, but from what I understand, Morath should be here this week. His visa is approved, and so he'll probably see some time off the bench. I don't necessarily think he'll start, but it is what it is there. But still, like, one of the things that you find difficulty, especially up front in the front row, is when a new prop comes in. And we didn't really see that the first week when the Beast came in, but, he only played 40 minutes this week. But in this game, Jamie McIntosh, I guess he was trying to get, I don't know if he was trying to get away with something or if he was just that much better. And, he wasn't able to do some things and he conceded a yellow, 15 minutes into the game, which probably hurt them quite a while. But it's kind of interesting when you can put when you have an international prop, you pull them off the bench to, replace Jamie McIntosh. And that was Juan Echeverria, who's actually normally a tight head, but he's been playing loose head pretty well for the Gilgronis in reserve.
Yep. But yeah, I think that Austin's it's coming together. It's coming together for them. I think it's good to see. I'll go on the record here. I do not think Austin ends this year in last place.
I definitely agree on that, but at the same time, I see their win cap not really going past 5 or 6 games, like if that.
Yeah. No, I put the over under. Well, what did we say? Over under was for them at the beginning of the season was 2.5. I think they'll go over.
I mean, 2 games will be 200% more games than they won last year, so I like those numbers. I mean, is that draw? Is that like 50% more wins than they had last season? I don't know. Craig, you're good at math, I think.
You can't calculate a percentage over 0, but we got
that. It's pretty funny. We got some stuff going on about the Gilgronis on the sidebar. Our man C2 says, hey, a night smashing Gilgronis in Austin is a great night. Frank Halai off the bench, as Doug Coyle said, for the Gilgronis was electric. He might be starting this week at center. We'll see.
The one cap All Black who actually scored in his one appearance for the All Blacks, which that's got to feel great.
I think Mo Abdelmonem is a strong player there too. I don't know why he wasn't starting earlier in the year, but I think him in the starting lineup adds some.
I mean, didn't he start the first game? So the fact that he
never didn't start week 2. I can't remember week 1.
Yeah, he didn't start week 2. So that's not really a big deal to me because you're trying. One of the things you do have to manage is the match time of your frontline players, and we'll sort of talk about use rate and match time in a different game for a different player that we sort of talked about before the show in our meeting. But to move forward, what is our next game? You know, the OGs start
OGDC.
They start 2-1. Wow.
Yeah, after that first game, everybody was expecting the house to be burning down. They expected it to be the first White House there in DC, completely burnt down. You know, down to the foundation. Hey, start again next time. Build it up better. But no.
They jumped from the War of 1812 to World War I real quick.
You know, they really, in this game, they gave up a lot of penalties. In fact, both teams gave up a ton of penalties. When it came to the scrum, the tight head for this team he's 22 years old. He's struggling, man. He's facing off against some, loose head props that have been pros for a while. But just bear with me. A free kick conceded for not taking the hit, collapsing the scrum, wheeling the scrum collapsing. So he had 4 scrum penalties by himself.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
That's a problem.
So he just
props to the prop, you could say.
It's like, I guess, I engaged Brian Ray, but he was like, today, what if a team can do without having a scrum? But then I look at the sheet, and I mean, they won 80% of their scrums. They won 33% more of their scrums than they won last week. They won 47% of their scrum.
When it comes to a typical win rate in this league, though.
In this league, yeah, you're looking to get, most of these guys are getting like
85% and above minimum.
But it was interesting. Read an article yesterday from Nigel Owens. Apparently, for Tier 1 nations, 82% scrum rate is actually very good. And this was he was talking about the French and the English before a game that he was reffing. So, I mean, 80%, that's a huge improvement for them. Their line out is still kind of a mess. So, if anything, you look at the sheet, and outside of the meters gained, because they were both pretty similar, if you look at this, you're wondering, how did Houston lose?
Yeah, no, I was going to go into a little bit of that. Let's see. So Houston 4.1 MPP, so that's meters per pass, 464 total meters, as Aaron alluded to. A GLO rating, so that's gain line over, just barely cracked 70% compared, but that's compared to 84% from DC. So you also couple that with the fact, 55% possession advantage, mostly thanks to 19 total turnovers by DC. Yeah, that's infuriating to think that the Cats lost this game when you think of how many opportunities that is just getting afforded to them by DC alone through penalties. 19 penalties is a freaking lot. But
here's the difference. They both had a lot of penalties. We saw this we'll talk about this in the Seattle game from Saturday night, is where you commit the penalties and if they're kickable penalties. Because what we saw was, Robertson, 17 points. You didn't do a Sam Malcolm, which was 24 points.
Well, I was just going to say,
5 penalties. When you don't score tries, it's going to be a problem. But if you get 5 chances to kick. That's a lot. Like you're gonna probably do all right.
It's a lot, but at the same time, it is kind of funny to see Houston getting a taste of their own medicine, in which DC wins the game, not despite a bevy of problems on the attack, just by one guy being able to have a great night, kicking from the tee. So shout out to Mr. Peterson on that. Sorry, Robertson, not Peterson. But
yeah. I think that Robertson and Tusitala, obviously everyone wants to look at Beast as, who comes in here and makes a difference in Old Glory. And I'm sure he is making a difference psychologically and energy-wise and all the rest. But it's not the prop play that looks like it's changing. I really feel like these last 2 weeks, Robertson and Tusitala have played very well. I just think they're running a good.
I think they're bedded in together now that they're playing solid opposition. Like they're playing really good opposition, and we should have known that Danny Tusitala was going to be good. Samoan International, played a bunch of Major 10, a little bit of Super. Of course, he was going to be good, but just there were some different expectations based on just. And you could say this with a lot of teams because we didn't have a lot of MLR versus MLR fixtures going on. So you didn't have tape in the preseason to get an idea. But overall, they have a pretty good roster. And if you're good at the hinge, so that is your 8, your 9, and your 10, where the thing kind of does like this, you'll probably be pretty good. And that goes in also with the spine. If you're 8, they've got Jamison Fiona Schultz, they've got Danny Tusitala, they've got Jason Robertson. Jason Robertson is a lot like Sam Malcolm was last year as a find because both of them are very similar. They're both very undersized fly halves. I think Malcolm is like 5'6", and Robertson might be 5'7".
Yeah, it is 5'7".
Not prototypical size for fly halves, especially today. And like you look at their quick ball rate compared, they just had the ball in the right area of the pitch to force Houston to commit a kickable penalty, and it was just they did what they needed to do. It's hard to really say they're doing anything bad. I think if they get their scrum right and their line out right, they will be a very good team. And what we're seeing is the East is packed full of good teams.
Yeah. I'm really excited for the first regular season rematch of the Atlanta DC preseason match they had. That was one of the few MLR and MLR preseason fixtures that with real season stakes. Those are both teams are both playing really well. That's going to be exciting. Liam, you're back.
Yeah.
Is back. I think
we still talking about DC. Sorry, I think we're going to move on. My dog was making a whole host of noise, and I had to exit her from the room. Craig, as you know, bulldogs can get very selfish when it comes to wanting things while you're doing shit.
Need that attention. So we're going to move on to match 4, which was, there was a poll on the RML Rugby account on Twitter that said which one was the worst beatdown of the weekend. Was it Tyson Fury over Deontay Wilder, or Toronto Arrows over Seattle? And Seattle losing to Toronto was the worst beatdown of the weekend.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here.
This is pretty simple. I guess I saw a lot of questions, especially in the Seawolves group. If you want me to talk about the Butchers bill that they have, I can go over at least like half of it that I have off the top of my head. Ross Neal is out. Honestly, he's a game changer. If you put him at wing or at 13, he's a lock that runs. That is a center or wing type athlete. Losing him, he's the kind of guy you just put the ball in his hands and he'll probably make 50 meters before he gets tackled because someone the size of Brad Tucker will have to tackle him. So not having him is pretty bad. Reno Elkstein showed up to camp with a minor injury and then injured it a little bit worse when they started camp. So he's been out for a while, although he was practicing this last week. So good for him. Harry Davies is out. I don't know, how much longer he's out. So that's a big one. They haven't really had an extra wing. That's why you're seeing the Tamai Vaina twins, who I think are going to play a lot for Seattle. It's like they are high-level athletes. They played rugby growing up. They've just played a lot of football, and they haven't really had the high-level exposure in rugby. So I think, once they get bedded in, they're going to be very helpful for Seattle. But so let me go. Ross Neal, Reno Elkstein, Harry Davies,
Ben Sema.
Ben Sema, who up front? Somebody, Stefan Kutsia, who was out until this week was a problem. Honestly, if he was healthy in the first 2 weeks, they would have challenged San Diego and they would have beaten Old Glory easily because their set piece wouldn't have been a mess. I think Duratalo is nursing an injury right now. He played last week. He didn't play this weekend. So I think it's a total of 9 players that have injuries. I don't have all the names in front of me. So, yeah, it's, but here's the thing. And somebody said this is like, a lot of these players, I think, outside of Tamai Vena, oh man, I'm butchered that name. Outside of Tamai Vena twins, a lot of those guys started games last year. Like, there's a lot of starters that were on that roster, and they just did not look good.
You want to talk to a Free Jacks fan about missing starters to injury right now? Because I can go on about it.
I mean, we'll talk about that front row in a little bit, but
what happened to the defense? I mean, what happened to the seawall? The seawall has been breached. I mean,
global warming is having an effect on the seawall.
I don't know what's going on up there, but the defense is playing bad. It's playing disjointed. They're not rotating well. What I saw like 5 minutes of the San Diego game. I saw the whole game, but there was like 5 minutes of that game that kind of reminded me of the night before, where Seattle just wasn't rotating well at all. On defense. They weren't recycling on defense and getting in place. And then when they were in place, they were committing kickable penalties. And, Sam Malcolm went 7 for 7, and he didn't just kick easy kicks. He did things that were, he's not supposed to do because he was doing basically touchline kicks 5 meters out and stuff like that. It was impressive to watch Sammy the Boot, I think as he's going to be called now by Dan Power, what he did from the tee. And I guess the reason why they didn't go for the bonus point is they just, could kick with impunity on Saturday night and didn't really care. They're 3-0. Having bonus points is going to matter, especially in the East, but they have their goals for the season, especially in their away trips. I would bet that they get a bunch of bonus points at home, so it's not really going to matter for them that much. But on attack, it's just not. They're just not playing well.
Yeah, they're not. I think they need Ben Sema back. I think they're missing Nakatini a lot. So I don't know. People have been saying on Twitter, and I kind of agree. This is obviously a hard thing to evaluate from the outside, but there seems to be a missing piece that they had these last 2 years. This gutsy, put your neck on the line for each other, don't let anybody through type of spirit to the way they were playing. And right here, these first 3 weeks, I'm just not seeing it anymore.
So would you guys say, outside of Reichard Hadding, maybe, would you say anybody on the Seawolf squad is performing at an elite level still?
Brad Tucker,
maybe Matt Turner.
Matt Turner's playing pretty well. I would say
is always pretty good.
So
there's
still there's still pieces on this team that can be considered in the top tier of their position, in the league. It's just kind of like you guys were saying, like, when they're not rotating properly, when they're not being an option for their teammates, that's a problem within the system, not so much within the players on the roster.
Yeah.
You think
they have a head coach, that's the sort of thing that gets solved.
If you look at this, they've basically had 6 head coaches, with Phil Mack having to be head coach twice for a little bit. Tony Healy, visa didn't get approved. Then Phil Mack had to coach them. And then you had an assistant head coach in Brandon Sparks, who came in late in the season. Not late in the season for him, but the season didn't start until April. So in May. So for more than half the season, Brandon Sparks was, providing a lot of backfield support for that team with analysis and gameplay development. And then they hired Anton Muhlman, and his visa didn't get approved. And then Phil Mack had to implement while they were waiting for his visa, his distance coaching plans, and then it didn't get approved. And then you had Richie Walker, and now we're on basically the 6th head coach. So. Yeah. When you go system wise, they're running through a bunch of different systems, and it's a culture.
But
it's going to take some
5 of those coaches still led to 2 championships. So
also, if you look at the numbers in this game too, 581 meters, about 5 meters per pass, like that's not exactly an offense that was not moving the ball, whatsoever. Again, it's just it's finishing drives with points. It's not committing infringements.
They're not capturing that momentum that you get as a team when things are clicking and you're rolling together and building. It's just
and meanwhile, that's very much Toronto at the moment, and that's especially Dan Moore.
Dan Moore, the
8 carries, 62 meters,
Dan
2
Moore's
tries.
Good. Taylor Adams had a good game. Even without Mike Shepard to clean up the mess, they did things that you expect them to do. And overall, yes, with the Uruguayans, they've increased the talent beyond Levas and Mires. Manuel de Ana is a great player for them. Tomas de la Vega, great player for them. But I look at Toronto and I just see a well-drilled and well-coached team. They've figured out the right guys to plug in at the right time somehow, some way. Mark Winokur is a genius. And if I haven't spelled his, praises out a bunch of times, but he took basically a consistent culture from the Blues directly into Major League Rugby, into the playoffs as the 3rd seed.
With a brutal schedule.
And then he hired the right coaches. They have a full coaching staff. So I think we're starting to see one of the most stable organizations is probably going to, in the league, is going to end up the 1 seed in the East. I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to see. They're just well drilled. They're well coached. They play very much together. It's going to be interesting to see what everyone else does, but
they still have a pretty tough schedule this year too, though.
The next
4 weeks
it doesn't get any better at all. But who it's you wonder, what they're going to do. Doug, that's hard to say. I'll be honest. I would say they're pretty even right now. Doug Coyle asked, who do you think is better, San Diego or Toronto? And the cool thing is, both these teams, they have full coaching staffs. They have lots of back-end support away from the pitch. So they're sort of leading the league in structural support over a consistent time frame. But do you panic if you're a Seattle fan? I mean, it's 3 games and the West is a mess. So you have the talent to compete for a playoff spot. So as long as
The 1 seed might
it's
be.
Too bad they don't have a bye this week. If there was a bye for them this week, they would be able to take a break, clear their heads, and come back. But looking at who did they play? We're gonna get into that later on. They play
the Liams.
The Liams. Ooh, man, that's a hard pick, honestly.
I know this is a hard week to pick.
So yeah, I wouldn't panic, but I wouldn't be surprised if they start 0-4. And yeah, losing another home game would be pretty rough. But like I said last year, they started rough too. They didn't go on a tear where they put on a string of games. They basically won one, lost one, won one, lost one for a while until sort of the end of the season.
Yeah, they got really tough.
Put it this way though. Wait until the Free Jack roster comes out before you go picking this game on Super Brew, though.
Know. If only we had that luxury.
The biggest thing that we're starting to see now is injury reports come out. The Toronto Arrows started. The New England Free Jacks have followed their northern brethren, and it's an East Coast. It's an Eastern Conference thing because the NOLA Gold put their injury report out.
Must be leading to victories.
Like apparently, just being, fully transparent with what's going on has been the key here. Moving on to Sunday's games. This is where things got funky. Man.
Yeah. So
New York versus Atlanta, man. We all picked this one wrong. We'll go over our picks in a bit, but I didn't see nearly as much of this game as I wanted to, but I will give a shout out to Nate Brakely. You're insane. This guy, his work rate there is no player with a higher work rate in Major League Rugby right now. He's giving you the work rate of a 6 at 5. He goes up in the air, gets like 8 line-out takes. On the ground, he goes to work. Last week he led the I'm pretty sure in the first week he didn't lead the league in breakdown arrivals, but last week he led the league with 47 breakdown arrivals, 40 on attack and 7 on defense. This week he had 50 attack breakdown arrivals and 10 defensive breakdown arrivals. Basically, I think that means he hits one of every 2 rucks, or one of every 1.5 rucks.
It's more than that. Yeah, it's more
lot.
than I ever have. Yeah.
Hey, man,
that's a lot.
When you're from the Massachusetts North Shore, you put in that work. Big shout out to you, Nate, even though you're from Marblehead.
Marblehead.
I'm speaking Massachusetts language right now. My fellow Massholes might understand a modicum of what I'm saying, but
he said Dunkin' Donuts is the key to his ruck arrival rate.
Yep, just plenty of Dunkin' Donuts, bagels, coffee. Definitely iced coffee. Dead of winter. Yeah. It's a tradition, but like you, Aaron, I thought this was a pretty entertaining game to watch. I think both of these teams they have really great pieces in the scrum. Yes, when you consider guys like Fawcett, Bastro, Brakely. But also looking on the outsides, guys like ATL's Wheeler, New York's Wallace Sims, and Cahill Marsh. Cahill Marsh and Wallace Sims, by the way, they seem to have an even better connection, here in year 2 than they had in year 1. They hooked up for a try this past week versus ATL on the outside. I think it was Cahill Marsh who actually put it down. Or no, it was Cahill Marsh getting the pass out to Wallace Sims, who was able to put it down in the corner, I believe. Anyway,
you mean Ben Foden?
What was it, Ben? Foden had a dive in the corner, yeah.
Yeah, all right, yes, but I believe it was Cahill Marsh to Wallace Sims. Wallace Sims had the run before the try.
That ball went off either JD or Ben Foden. Because the try scores because it wasn't the score to Mark O'Keefe. That was the
Fawcett magic.
That was the mustard guy. The guy who puts mustard on meat that he chops for sandwiches for his wife.
Yeah. I mean, meanwhile, ATL, I think they put up some great shows on defense the last 3 weeks, but this scrum definitely needs improvement more than their backline, I would say. Whereas I said, like, they have guys like Wheeler in the background who can gain meters really quickly with the ball in hand. Still, when they weren't ripping gaps for big plays, I felt like ATL was a little bit shallow in some of their line work, which Rooney was able to expose really well with their defense coming up on that line to smother the ball play. That, along with some good old ill-timed penalties by ATL, just really put them off kilter when it mattered in the second half. But honestly, I'm going to be really interested to see how these two stack up when we're talking about potential playoff teams in a few weeks, because neither one of these squads you want to say is has the potential to be a losing team at the end of the year. Although I think one team is more likely than the other in that regard.
The East right now. Credit to Craig for the beginning of the year going, the East is just so hard it's going to be hard to pick. It's going to be more fun to watch because there's going to be good teams. And the reality is all of the expansion teams can play some ball. They can all play some footy, and I know pretty much everyone picked sort of Atlanta on our show at least. And I know some of the other pundits out there did not. And they had some faith in New York. I don't really know how, but we thought it was going to be pretty close. We just figured the home team would get the edge, and especially given the way injuries were. But some roster moves.
Yeah, we didn't know they had Honko when we made those.
We didn't know they had Honko, and we didn't know they had Charlie Hewitt. Charlie Hewitt spent all last year on. We don't really have a disabled list, but he tore his ACL in the preseason last year and did not get to play last season for Houston, and for whatever reason he was re-signed and he was now acquired by New York. And I was talking to Greg about Charlie Hewitt because I'm a really big fan of his. He's a very good. I mean, they say he's like a great young man, but I think he's like 25 now. It's been a while. It's since I spent some time in Houston talking to those boys before their first season. But the dude's like 6'9". I know he's listed 6'8", but he's a massive dude. And he's a good character guy, can, carry hard, and comes from a good pedigree, played at Cardiff Met, and also played for the Worcester Warriors and played in the Premiership. So if you get that kind of quality of a lock in the MLR and he's healthy and he's young, he's going to be pretty good. And he did that. And I would say is like, I was talking to Craig while he was watching the game. I was like, how about my man, Charlie Hewitt? And Charlie Hewitt, if you take away Nate Brakeley's work rate, because Nate Brakeley outworked every lock by double in the league this weekend, he had a really good game, over 20 ruck arrivals, some line out takes, some good carries, some solid tackles. And this is a guy that probably practiced like 2 days with the team. So good acquisition on New York's part to shore up their depth. I mean, when you can get that kind of guy, and same with Henko Hammerscheiss. Henko didn't start, so I'm not really singing his praises. But if you know who Henko is, I mean, he's
the ceiling on him is very high in terms of what he could potentially do. But at the same time, last year wasn't that big of a year for him. He spent some time with injury. It hasn't been really since year one, since his time with the former Gilgronis, the Austin Elite, where he was really one of the elite players of MLR.
Yeah. Look, I think this was New York's best game of the year. I think that's evident. A lot of the people that you kind of expect to do big things that never really stood out had good games. I thought an attack, at least Foden played very well. Basta definitely had his best game. He was attacking from the back of the scrum, took a couple of free kicks, and just at least one where he just picked it and ran, and he carried defenders for some 20 meters.
But he took 20 minutes to get up right after it.
Well, you give and you take. So I mean, this was a very good game for New York. It's the third game under the new coach, Greg McWilliams, attack coach for USA. So, hopefully this is a sign of things to come for them. I'm very high in Atlanta. I think they're a very strong team. I'll tell you, when Kurt Coleman kicks high balls, they go so high. It makes me think of like when the Cowboys opened their stadium in Dallas and people were afraid the kicks were going to hit the scoreboard over the center. Like, he kicks it, and I feel like the forwards start walking like it's time off because the ball's going to be in the air so long. So, I mean, his boot was very effective, I thought, for them, and he did as much as he could do with the boot to keep Atlanta with the pressure on New York, but New York just played a great game.
Yeah, you're starting to see like some of the attacking prowess in this game. A friend of the show, Gordon Hanlon was pointing out and the new attack, I think, for New York that's being installed is starting to take a lot of shape. And we're going to see them do some more fun things, more rapid tempo type stuff going forward. It's just once they get bedded in on that, they will be pretty good. That makes this week's pick very interesting for them. Moving on to the nightcap or afternoon cap, depending on what part of the country you were in. San Diego versus New England. This was an exciting game.
It was. It was that moment when New England took the lead. It lasted like 36 seconds, but
they were interviewing Donald Brighouse like right as it was happening, so you kind of had to like listen to Stacey Pates' commentary during the try.
Yeah, I think I'd started to draft my article for the morning, and I was sitting there, and it was on in the background, and I looked out, I was like, "I'll be damned, winning!" Look at that.
Yeah, that was about my reaction too, man. Although I always believed in the boys. I think
it was San Diego's reaction too. They're like, "I'll be damned, we're down."
We might need to start.
Anyway, deficit of the year, I wonder, for San Diego. Have they been losing at all at any point?
Not that I can consciously remember.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, but so needless to say, for me on this game, not the results I or many others were looking for. Still, as you were kind of implying there, plenty of silver linings to find within it. First of all, being the fact that the depth of this squad got truly tested that night, and despite the end results of the match, you had to consider it a success when you look at just how close the Jacks were to actually winning this one. Had it not been for the Devereaux Ferris try there, almost immediately following Sean McNulty's absolute freight train of a maul by the Jacks, the New England defense easily could have put up some of their own points to pull away with the momentum that they had, along with killing some clock while they were at it. Unfortunately, there was that last scrum. It was a put in by the Jacks. The great engagement by the Legion was able to push them back. Oliver Enkelhart, of course, unfortunately couldn't recover the ball quick enough. That resulted in a knock-on and penalty to the Legion, and that's when Burton was able to get those final 3 points to put it out of reach. Penalties absolutely killed the Jacks in this one, 12 compared to just 7 from the Legion. And along with instances of what Coach Smith actually called hero ball, which I love hearing a Bostonian like him use that term. Just playing hero ball.
Hey, sometimes you gotta play hero ball to win.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, that when we were playing hero ball, it was some pretty errant passes that were not going our way, and it happened multiple times. Eventually, you need to play a bit more of a conservative game and just keep that possession. They're
playing Hawkeye.
It just sucked because there was a lot of good stuff in between it, including some great runs from people like Danny Collins. Mitch Wilson was still putting in work like he's been doing the last few weeks. When it came to numbers in this one, San Diego, they're averaging now 37 points a game. That's ahead of Toronto and then New England. New England is averaging around 29. Definitely good news when you look at, last week, a bunch of teams only scored 22. I think it was like 4 different teams all had the same score line. Anyway, on the ground, San Diego, they outpaced the Jacks by over 100 meters. Legion with an average MVP of 6.9 compared to 5.5 from the Jacks, which is around league average, but obviously kind of dwarfed in comparison to what San Diego was able to put up. Another big factor, already kind of said this as well with the penalties, New England's turnovers in the game, just a bad day and overall, especially in the lineout. ATL was able to get 4 steals when it came to the throw-in, so not a great day for McNulty, which is also a shame when you look at how well he did with the ball in hand, actually. Still, I think once you guys get like, Leader, Kensuke Hatakeyama, Bodine Waka, Liam Steele, Tony Papura, once those guys are healthy and back in the lineup, I think this is going to look like a much different team. The depth is going to look even better than it did against San Diego.
It was an interesting game to see what basically was a limping New England team go in and play San Diego very tough. I'm not going to say they looked bored, but at times they just failed to cycle effectively on defense. But then I was trying to think about this. For some reason or ever, I thought their aerial attack was really bad. And then you look at the stats, they had 4 line-out steals and no line-out steals conceded, and they just played a really tough game. And one of the things they did on defense is they tended to shepherd the ball carriers a lot better. Probably some of the best, like, sort of limiting meters that a wing or a center could make. We saw in this game. They play with some of the crazy physical intensity that we saw them play with last year, and insanely really very disciplined for them. But one of the things I wanted to talk about in this game was Devereaux Ferris, signed as the backup 9. We saw him not get on the field in season 1 for San Diego, and he wasn't on the roster last year. He was playing with Life West, and Nick Boyer ended up playing on the wing. But in season 1, Nick Boyer was the guy to push Nate Augsburger out to the wing, and he sort of had that on. But guess what happened in this game is, like, Nate Augsburger, I think it was a foot injury. He was put in a boot pretty early. I'm pretty sure his injury was minor, and he won't be out that long, although it looked pretty bad, and he was carted off the field. But they had, even with the change at scrum half pretty early, they had the fastest ruck speed of any team in the league. They were 67% this weekend. And if you can do that with your backup scrum half, and you can hold the opposition to only a 38% at quick ruck rate, you're going to be able to do some things, and you're going to win. They just play better defense at times, but it wasn't really about what they did with the ball in the kicking game, like New England. I thought it was more about how much they made them pay and how they did their exits, because they both did their exits pretty well, but it wasn't the best from New England. And, you just had some game breaking, Savanaka Tota Vasau, Luke Burton, Sam Wuching, man. He did something. On that crazy line break, he finds Devereaux Ferris on his shoulder, and there's a try. And then, right when you're expecting this thing to you're looking to see a good exit or New England to come out of their half, but they end up not, and they give San Diego that line out, and then ball goes out to Wuching. You sort of see Ferris just pick on his shoulder and just run that perfect line through the New England defense, which was, it parted like the Red Sea. Come on, transition. One of the biggest things that teams struggle with, as Blaine Scully would say, is transition. It's one of the toughest things for a team to coach on. I think transition coaches are probably going to become a thing, sort of like special team coaches are in the NFL. But yeah, you're just seeing, even because if we look at the roster for San Diego at tight head, they're doing pretty good. But Nathan Sylvia had to come in and play pretty hard, and then Jamie Deaver also played pretty hard for them. But
full 40 minutes for Jamie Deaver, which I thought was pretty surprising. Came in right at the outset of the second half.
But we lost. I wouldn't say we, but they had to give Fakaosi Pifoletti, from what I understand, bereavement leave. He's with the entire, like, the Pifolettis are like close blood relation to the Vunapolas, and so they're all in Tonga, taking care of some family issues right now. It was a good game from the Free Jacks. Could have been a little bit better from San Diego, but what it tells me and what the past couple of games have said to us about the Free Jacks is they're, a pretty good side in a very packed Eastern Conference.
You're here.
Well, we will be coming for the playoffs, mark my words.
Of course, the guy who works for New England, he's happy about it. But looking at our pick from last
paychecks can buy my loyalty, but so can my birthplace. All right.
Looking at our picks from last week, picked the Gold by 7. So if you need the lotto numbers, at least I'll, I got one of them right.
You'll try.
Game 2, Utah versus the Ags. Missed that one. I had Utah by 12. Pretty sure you did not pick a draw. I would need to go back and listen to that show.
No, I picked a draw. But it's in
you didn't pick it on Super Brew. I can tell you that.
Nah, of course I didn't pick a draw. I picked Utah as I did on Super Brew.
A lot of people got that one wrong. Game 3, Old Glory at Houston. I took the Cats by 3, which I guess is actually I should have picked Old Glory because Cats by the home team by 3 is actually favoring the visitors, but I didn't think it was going to be that big of a loss. Jeez. So I got that one wrong. Craig got that one wrong.
I did get that one right on Super Brew, though. I changed my
I got the one spoon on Super Brew this week. It was not good.
Toronto at Seattle. I picked Toronto -4.
I picked Toronto, yeah.
Missed a bunch of points that we could have had by not picking Toronto by 20. Jeez. Game 5, New York at Atlanta. We all picked Atlanta by a converted try. New York got a little bit healthier, got some more reinforcements, not just the lock in the back row. They got James Rockford back in, and Patty Ryan is back fit. So that should have been the telltale sign, I guess. But Game 6, New England at San Diego. I picked the Legion by 14.
Yeah,
and
I picked the Legion. I don't remember I should have wrote down the margins. I didn't. But yeah, I picked the Legion by something. Probably the exact right number, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I did not pick the Legion.
I'll write them down this week so we have exact records for next week.
Moving on to Game 3, Week 4 preview. Game 1, 4 p.m. Eastern, San Diego at the Gold. What do you guys got?
So I'm going San Diego -8. I think NOLA is looking like a great team right now. They're operating pretty consistently through both offensive and defensive phases. But at the end of the day, I think this is a much for San Diego. They're a much more high scoring offense, which I think is going to be the thing that puts them over the top. Whereas I think NOLA, tends to just move the ball more, methodically at times. They haven't been particularly high scoring this season so far.
I'm gonna stick with my theme of the East and pick up probably an unpopular opinion here. I'm gonna take NOLA. I think traveling for San Diego, it's always tough to go across the country like this. I think NOLA's getting back some key players like we discussed before, and I just think NOLA's needs this win, and they need to win these games against the Western teams because the East is so competitive, where San Diego is probably starting to feel like they can take the foot off the gas a little bit. I just think I have a feeling it's set up for a NOLA surprise win.
Moving on to Game 3, Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern, Utah Warriors at Colorado. Did I not pick Old Glory? I said Old Glory by 5. Wait, no, we didn't do Game 2. Jeez, I'm horrible. Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern also. Old Glory travels to Austin, where they play the Ags. I've got Old Glory -5.
And I'm going to go Old Glory -11. I think they're going double digits, baby.
I'm splitting you guys right down the middle. Old Glory -8.
Ooh.
Game 3, 6 p.m. Eastern. Utah Warriors at Colorado. Give me Utah -3.
I'm going to copycat Aaron on this one. Utah -3.
Ooh, all right. I'm breaking from the mold again here. I think Colorado will get their first win this week. I'm going to say Colorado by 5.
So you're giving Utah less credit than we are.
Correct.
Wow, that's impressive. Game 4, Saturday, 10 p.m. What type of potato are you giving this pick? You got to come up with a
I'm going to give them, a potato baked in New England clam chowder, man. What else do you expect?
Man, I might. Oof. They've had some tough opponents, and Seattle's on their heels. I think this is the perfect time where Seattle, they're against the wall. They have to get a win. But I don't know, man. I reserve when I see the lineup, I'm probably going to change this. But right now, I might like the Free Jacks by 1 point.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, there you go. All right, now I'm gonna change my mind and no longer support the East. Now that Aaron has jumped my my claim. I agree though. I think that we really have to see this lineup because who of New England's missing big 3 are back is going to be a big difference maker. But right now, I'm in my head. I'm assuming the same lineup as week 3, and based on that, I'm going to say Seattle by 7.
Yeah. Moving on to Game 5, Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, Toronto at Atlanta. I'm just Craig, you're being weird because that makes no sense.
He's going to make or break me for the year this week.
You're either aiming for the wooden spoon
I can see
or the
Atlanta
champion.
coming out on top in this because Scott Lawrence has a good attacking structure, but
I mean, how many weeks of travel can Toronto bear? I mean, it's got to be so exhausting.
I mean, 5 weeks in a row for the Jacks.
They haven't had to deal with the injury bug so far that much. I mean, yeah, they had I think 5 players out, but
yeah, they have
the players that went into the lineup just they did work. I think they've actually got depth.
Shepard might be out this week, right?
He's out. They might even have some squad rotation going on. I think I'm going to say Toronto is going to continue the streak. You got to respect the streak. Toronto -5.
I will be respecting the streak as well. Toronto -4. As long as you got Dan Moore on the squad, I will probably be choosing in their favor. Unless, of course, they're playing the Free Jacks. In which case, potato.
Another tough one to pick. This is a great week. But last time they went south to Houston, they barely escaped. I think Atlanta's a little tougher than Houston, so I'm going to give this to Atlanta by 3.
They've gone south every single place they go except Seattle.
No, Seattle's not south, and Austin.
It's like lateral.
Austin is lateral caliber as Houston and Atlanta.
Game 6 p.m. For the cap on the weekend is New York at Houston. Houston just didn't give me enough. They sputtered completely in the second half.
I know that feeling.
And it was rough. You can't. It's gonna. No, it's. They need to fix some stuff. They need to fix some stuff before we can, and they can use New York as the proving ground. But I don't see them fixing it this week. They might fix some things, but I still think they lose. Going New York on this one, -5.
I'm going to go Houston -5 on my end. I just think Houston seems to be operating a little bit, a little bit more physically, and I think that's exactly what you need to kind of crack that New York defense. I think you need to put them on the back foot, and I think Houston with pieces like Malachi Esdale, Osea Kalinisau playing, whether Zach Pangelina makes his way back to the roster remains to be seen. Karen Farmer stepping into his starter position. He did reasonably well. I think they do have the pieces to really challenge this New York team.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly have the pieces to challenge it. Definitely could see it going either way. I mean, I am going to back the Roosters this time. I think, it's sort of tell early, but the few games under the new coach, I think they're really starting to click as a attacking unit. So I'm going to bet on that going another week and say New York by 8.
So moving on to questions, I guess one of the questions from Grant Cole was, when does Rattle get their Harleys out of the shop? Well, I mean, they were out of the shop in the first week. We saw what Harley Wheeler could do a little bit. And then he said, how long do we start seeing Mick Burns' stamp on the Gilgronis? I think we're seeing it now.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing things get better. But,
I mean, they had their best result in a year plus this week. So
there's that for questions. Let's see. Old Glory scrums, can they drive or hold? I think right now they can hold.
They can hold this. The beast is kind of like a big cement pillar, just drilled into the ground with some bolts right there supporting it on the way. Not to say that there aren't talented pieces in that scrum along with them, but if just minus beast produced the performance that we saw in week 1, that's still pretty concerning to me.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't. I don't think we've seen that. I don't think they've proven that they could even hold, in my opinion. But I do think the trend line is very favorable, and it makes sense because they do have a tremendous international prop show up that has probably a lot of lessons to teach. So I suspect by next week I will be comfortable saying they can hold, but I don't think I've seen it yet.
Here's a sevens question. I guess it's sevens this week. Wow, that got up here real quick. LA Sevens is this weekend. What are our predictions for most points and most tries? Who will be the first to get 200? Speed Stick or Carlin Isles? You want to see a home win, and because the format allows the whole setup, because it's a men's only tournament, I'd say if we're not in the semifinals, it's disappointing. I think. Who do you guys think gets 200 tries first?
Carlin?
Yeah, I agree, Carlin. I think
he gets utilized a lot more. I feel like he's.
I think that they both get 200 this weekend though, because they're both. I think one's at 189 or 199, and one's at 198. So
I
wouldn't doubt it, but I feel like you see Carlin on the field first more often though.
So.
Yeah, I feel like this is varied over time, but I feel like last season and a half, maybe Carlin has regained the top try scorer mantle on that team.
Yeah. So there's that. We had a bunch of questions come in on Facebook, just so I like answering these, especially since y'all are coming on and watching the show directly. Give me 1 second. But yeah, sevens is going to be interesting. That means there's going to be more rugby for us to watch in this this environment. And by that I mean I hope I don't get shot or stabbed or anything. I guess no, we don't have any Matthew Shetwick. I butchered that one. We don't have a rundown of team-based promotions like they're running, like I guess bobbleheads and stuff. Also, although there are like family 4-packs or pick or partial season ticket packages out there that you can check out with your local team. Rob Hammersmith,
single game tickets for the New England Free Jacks just went on sale, so you guys should definitely get those as well.
Rob Hammerschmidt asks, because the MLR put up the top 10 category stats right now. The engine is back up, so you can see that. Which stats seem to be the key success after 3 weeks? It's
Set
for
piece
me,
effective efficiency.
Quick ball from the ruck.
Starting to see set piece efficiency is always important, and then ruck speed is becoming a really important factor in this season so far. Penalties is always, because we're seeing some of these teams have a lot of penalties. So, I would say they're all important, but scrums, lineouts,
MPP in relation to territory rate as well.
I don't think you can find that one on the MLR website, though.
No.
So Scott Ferreira, the big guy from the Rugby United Supporters Group, asked, "What is the MLR broadcasting situation as it pertains to international fans? Heard some complaints the past 3 weeks." Well, everything is available on Facebook Live for international fans, and then on Rugby Pass, there are select games that are re-aired. I know that the New York versus Atlanta game there was an error and it did not go out on Facebook Live. I just know there was an error. I don't really know what it was. John Hawkins asks, how are the attendance numbers? Is there any indication how broadcasts are doing? Right now, there's no indication on how broadcasts are doing, but I would say it's better.
Attendance looks good on TV.
Attendance is looking good overall, except for the Vegas stuff. Everyone else, like Glendale opened up and they had, over 2,500 people at their game. So
DC had packed. Atlanta was packed for their opener.
New England is going to be packed for St. Patrick's Day weekend against the SaberCats.
Keep selling you people.
Here's the thing. Like, at this point, like, it is a given just in terms of ticket sales. Yeah.
San Diego looked pretty good. San Diego looked pretty good, but they have the largest stadium. They have the largest stadium in the league right now. Well, yeah, because NOLA hasn't opened up extra seats yet in their configuration, because NOLA could have the largest stadium in the league if they wanted. They could have like 8,000 seats, but San Diego
Aviva has the largest stadium, quote unquote, in terms of land.
Yeah, but so San Diego has 1,000. San Diego's 1,000 more seats than what is it? Zion's Bank Stadium, which is 5,000. So it looked pretty good. I mean, they're 3-0. I'm gonna guess it's gonna get hard to get a ticket pretty soon, and they'll crest over 4,000 pretty fast. Steve Green, how has the refereeing looked so far this season?
Fine.
It's good. It's been pretty decent.
I think it's been good. Yeah.
I don't really have a lot of complaints. Like in the moment, I might have complaints because I see one call go one way and I see another call go another way, and it's kind of annoying. But overall, I think officiating is also progressing. It hasn't been, there hasn't been a game so far as there were some games last year where I was just, it was pretty rough. And then the last one on how much Lawrence Weisel asked us how much crow we're going to eat on Old Glory. I guess we ate a lot. What should the league do in order to continue to grow? Just keep investing in the product, invest in off the field structures and marketing and stuff like that. We're making progress. We are.
Get an MLR app. Finish the MLR app.
Put everybody on ESPN Plus and be done with it.
So Doug Coyle asks, which coach is getting the most out of their team?
Josh Smith, baby.
Scott Lawrence.
I would say right now, Josh Smith and Scott Lawrence are pretty good shouts.
Smitty.
I think by season's end, the two coaches that will get the most out of their team are going to be Rob Hoadley and Chris Silverthorne. That's what I think. Those are the two teams.
Is Rob Hoadley really getting like the most? Because I hear not to say he's a bad coach, but
you
have two All Blacks on the freaking team. Like, is it two or I don't even know.
I think that they will beat some teams like a drum and more so like a drum this year. And part of that is because of talent, and the other part of that is because he's an insane defense coach, and he does things. Then Jeff Kennett, YouTube numbers for San Diego replays are kind of shocking high compared to the rest of the league. The no-new effect.
Probably
the YouTube number, the replay numbers on both YouTube and Facebook have been very good this season in a much greater way than the first two seasons were. And I think that's partially because of notoriety. And I think that's partially because of the players that we're bringing in, like Matthew Basterode, the Beast, Nonu, and so, like Halai, like some of these other names. I think stability in the league is creating more interest for people to watch the games, and they're watching these games and they're saying, hey, it's pretty good rugger.
You're also bringing in fan bases from around the world who, even if they're not following, MLR wicked closely, they're still intrigued by it just because there's these names who they're familiar with coming over here, and obviously, America is the fabled sleeping giant. It is kind of like a novelty of sorts, in the mysterious aspects of what the American rugby market could be. So I think that kind of drives a lot of the interest overseas, especially.
Final question from Doug Coyle. With Seattle selling out their venue, should they look for a larger venue? I mean, they need to take a lot of data. I thought after season 1 that they were going to work very hard, and they probably have worked very hard, and maybe Starfire hasn't been. Well, Christian, they're going to need to look for a larger venue. Stop saying no.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think there's a lot of things that go into venue success, and their venue clearly is very successful. And I'm not sure I'd want to tamper with that unless there was a really compelling reason.
Well,
the only way I'd want to tamper with it is if they had one of those floating rugby pitches, like that you see kind of like off the coast of beaches sometimes. So if you run into touch, you're just running right out into the water. That is what will make Seattle games interesting.
Brothers level.
So Starfire is a 3,500 seat venue, and then you can add about like 500 standing room only seats, and that makes sense. So one of the things that we're still not seeing is because one of their partners is StubHub, is that people who are putting tickets onto StubHub, they're just going for face value. So that is an important analytics tool to look at, but they're still selling out. So
they could raise the face value by $5. See if
I don't think that they're still selling out. So I think that's important to look at. But Christian does make a point. When you look at the analytics, you need to figure out, although that there is a market and they're selling out their small venue, you need to look at it. Is there going to be such demand that you can jump to a venue that seats 10,000? Because there's the 3,500 seat at Starfire. So if the data supports you being able to sell 7,000 tickets, you can jump and look for that higher venue. So it's a long-term process, and you can't just
and the cost of that venue has to be less than the additional ticket sales. I mean, if you get a bigger venue, but it costs you so much more money that it eats up the sales.
I would say look, but the data has to make sense. And if they're not going to double the attendance by moving to a 10,000, because I don't think there's really that much wiggle room in sizes of venue in Seattle, that you just stay where you're at and make it the hottest ticket in town over time. And then you're going to be able to move into that 10,000 seat venue and you'll sell your 7,000 tickets. But if you're not going to be able to double your attendance, then you don't. So that is important. That data is important. But they are selling out. And I think over time, they can make a solution, although that is a question that gets posed all the time in the Seattle's groups and on Twitter, is like, when are they going to expand Starfire? I think it's possible for a long-term solution there. It is possible because I've been there, I've seen it, but that takes investment by Starfire, which is, I believe, is a non-profit entity. And if the Seawolves spend money to upgrade that other side, then they're going to want a piece of that, right? So to make that money back. So there's a lot of business things to look into, but if the secondary market gives you tickets at or below face value, then the demand to jump to a venue 3 times the size isn't necessarily there yet, but it's probably going to get there sooner than later. Just, I don't think it's next year. Maybe work with Starfire to increase your standing room only access, and stuff like that. I think you could probably get a longer term solution at Starfire before you have to make the massive jump to a 10 to 15,000 seat stadium. Some teams got lucky in that their venues were, 5,000, and that was just the venue that they had. So I think that's it.
7,000 seating baseball stadiums.
Yeah, there's that. All right. So that's it for this week, guys. It was a long show at 6 games. I think there's 5 games 2 weeks from now, so that should help.
Indeed.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for tuning into the show. You can catch us on podcast on Wednesday mornings if you happen to not be on live. So
or you just miss our voices after a couple days.
There's that. And then you can ridicule me in the private messages or something.
Indeed. So I think it's about that time where we roll Corey's voice with all of that legal mumbo jumbo. Corey?